Hello everybody, welcome to week 7. Hopefully by now you are diving deep into a topic of your choice. Hopefully you've done that already and have gotten a wonderful draft into the hands of a peer for some peer editing. Just a reminder that we have the Writing Lab as a resource. The schedule for the Writing Lab is posted on our Blackboard site. So if you're having time or having trouble drumming up a peer to give you peer feedback, please use the Writing Lab. And don't forget, use the resources on our Blackboard page for the deep dive to help you through both the peer edit, the construction of your draft, and the memo to teacher that I've asked you to create that explains what you did between your draft and your final version. All of that information is on Blackboard, so I expect you to read that thoroughly. If you have any questions or would like to submit any kind of rough drafts to me in between now and Friday, I'm happy to take a look. But I look forward to hearing your great thoughts and your fabulous critical thinking on your deep dives on Friday. I will set up an assignment link for you to submit the deep dives to, so we do not have to email them to me. All right, a couple thoughts about this week. This week is going to be a little bit different than the schedule. A couple things have come up, but I think it's going to work well for you. One is that I need to be out on Wednesday. I'm going to the CELT Luncheon. I don't know if you're familiar with CELT, but it's the Center for Excellence in Learning and Teaching here on this campus. And there is a CELT conference that I'm presenting at this week on campus as well. And so this luncheon is honoring some of the presenters. So I will be there during our class time, but this gives us a great opportunity to essentially do both an out and about this week, as well as give you some time with your groups to start constructing your final program plan. If you'll notice on the syllabus, 2 weeks from Friday, let's see, the date is actually October 18th. I've asked that you submit a program plan check-in. This is essentially a check-in. It's just a draft. Nothing needs to be finalized. But I do need to see that you're getting your program plan elements put into final version and into a final document of sorts. Again, on Blackboard, you'll find a link to the final program plan that outlines every detail, every piece of the program plan, the criteria for assessment, and how you will present it. Okay, so I expect you to go to that link on Blackboard to read through the criteria. But here's what we're going to do this week. We will not meet in class Wednesday or Friday, but there are 2 major tasks that you need to do both on your own and with your group between Monday and Friday. The first task is what is part of our out and about, so can happen anytime during the week. For out and about this week, I'm asking that you participate and observe one activity that is part of the UHFS programming for this week. As you heard with our panel last week, this week is Queer Week. So there are lots of events happening as a part of that program. There are also some of their regularly scheduled events, such as the Pinterest night on Tuesday and game night on Friday. So there's a chock full schedule that I will post on our Blackboard page. But I'm asking that as an individual, that you participate in one of the programs that's occurring this week. You can choose any one of them. Some of them are during the week, some are on the weekend, but they need to be part of the UHFS programming for this week. Okay, so every individual will participate in one activity. As a group, you need to observe one activity. Okay, so you can arrange this in a number of different ways, but keep in mind, as an individual, you will participate in one activity. As a group, you will observe an activity. Those can be the same activity, they can be different activities. It doesn't matter. What's important is that as an individual, you serve as both a participant and as an observer this week. That's really important to how we're going to gather information about our programs. Okay, so that is your out and about for this week. On Friday, I will post an out and about quick write that I'm asking you to submit. You know what, I'll probably make that due a week from today, so next Monday before class. so that you can also participate and or observe activities that happen over the weekend. So that gives you an entire week to select an activity to participate in and designate an activity to observe. Okay, so that will count as your Friday out and about, and I will post a quick write to help you reflect on that experience. Now, the other task that we are going to do or use this time this week, the time that I am not in class, is to get together with your group to start building your program plan. And as I just mentioned, the resources are available on Blackboard. So I'm expecting that you review that, but in 2 weeks I'll be looking for a draft of your program plan. And so essentially this week I'm giving you a little bit of designated class time because we're not meeting in class. You will have a little bit of designated class time next week as well, about 1 class period. So kind of gauge your time. You will likely need to work out of class on this program plan. You don't necessarily have to get together with your group, but if you feel like that's productive. And the one last thing that you should be thinking about with your group is kind of some concepts for your program. I know many groups have a general concept, but at this point it would help to start honing in on what your program might look like. Now that'll probably evolve as we start to build our logic model this week, but it would certainly help if you did some brainstorming with your group and really started to hone in on what your general concept will be for your program. All right, so that's the schedule for this week. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our topic for this week. This week we are introducing the concept of a logic model. A logic model is going to be a big concept for us. I will introduce it this week, and then each of the next about 4 to 5 weeks we will be building the logic model, i.e. putting in the pieces. Okay. One way to think about a logic model is a recipe for a program, and so this week we'll look at kind of the recipe as a whole and what that does for our program planning. We're going to look at the concept of a logic model, talk about the notion of a theory of change, why we use a logic model, and then you will use the logic model template to observe the activities. And actually, now that I'm talking about it, I remember that will be your quick write for a week from Monday. So as you're observing the activities through UHFS, you'll be filling in a logic model, essentially filling in the recipe for that activity. So again, this week is all about logic models. There are, I believe, 3 pieces of content for you. A reading that's called Purposeful Program Theory, that gives you the general overview of why we use a logic model. The second reading is a short piece that explains each section of the logic model and what goes into the boxes. And then the third piece is a short video that gives you a really easy to understand analogy about logic models. But one thing to think about in that video is that I think that the author of the video goes about the logic model backwards. So that might be something interesting for you to chew on in your investigation. All right, everybody, that's a lot of information. Hopefully that'll cut down on how much I need to talk at you in class this morning, but I'll probably bring in a few of these details as well. So, as always, come see me, send me an email if you have any questions, but I hope that your week is off to a great start. Bye, everybody.